So quick video tour of this drum kit because I won't be offering returns because I'm putting the money towards things immediately. So I thought it would be rude if you didn't know what you were getting into. First and foremost, the batter head hoop. I'm knocking price off because I'd imagine you will want another batter head because there's not much left on it. You could also just slap a patch on there and make it last significantly longer. There's some hoop damage. Some of it I've hidden with lugs, but you can very clearly see that as soon as you look at it closely, there is something underneath there. A little bit of damage right there as well. All of that, I mean, you can fix that with black paint. People have had no problem doing that. The Rezo head hoop has a couple little scuffs. I believe that there was one more little one on here. Forgive me for the shaky camera. Yeah, there was one more right there that was a little bit nicked. The bass drum itself has some scuffing damage and some bubbling occasionally. Obviously right at the seam here, you can hear me as I'm rubbing my finger along it, that there's a little bit of bubbling right there. Light, very, very light scarring. I mean, this kind of wrap, you're just gonna see that kind of stuff too. Very hard wrap to adhere. Yeah, so you can hear the spots where there's kind of that clicking sound. Sometimes it's around the lugs there. You can hear, that's probably the biggest one on the drum, is right there. So it's weird. It looks like it's following some of these patterns, but it actually isn't. Kind of goes off in that direction between the two lugs right there. It's really hard to show these bubble points in pictures because of this wrap. I believe there was another small chunk of it. Yeah, right here. Which again is coming towards the seam, and it's just a little bit above the seam where it has lifted a little bit right along those lugs. But I mean, like the bass drum sounds killer. It works really exceptionally well, tunes up great. I've had no problem getting that quote unquote great Gretsch sound. Here is the floor tom. I have a strip of fabric in there. I will leave that in there unless whoever purchases it decides that they don't want it, in which case I'll remove it. Controlled sound batters. The floor tom is great. You know, again, little spots along the edges where it does bubble up. You have to be careful putting on hoops. You can hear right there. It's lifted slightly, very lightly, kind of just along select pieces of the hardware, which is a little bit expected with these kind of wraps, and also the 2017 drums. There's a little bit right there. It's got, again, you know, I'm knocking some of the price off because it's got some used heads. I like coated heads as my resonance, and I don't have the old resonant heads anymore. And the rack tom, again, controlled sound. There is a small amount of scuffing right here on this, as well as in there. I remember that was the first thing I noticed when I bought it, was that mark right there. You know, no huge stuff, and it's not noticeable from a ways away. So I mean, this is a fantastic player's grade kit. This drum tunes up incredibly as well. I will take the heads off. Okay, heads are off. Here's looking at the bass drum. You can tell that, I mean, the sealer is, I don't see anything wrong on the inside whatsoever. Bearing edges look fantastic all the way around. You can definitely see there's a spot right there where you can see the wrap is ever so slightly lifting up, but no huge problems with it. I mean, the bearing edges are great. the drums are, the drums are in killer condition. I've found some forum posts from about a year and a half, 2 years ago, that it sounds like they were just having some quality control with the wraps themselves. So the drums themselves are fantastic. Same deal here. They look great on the inside. Here's that strip, which I will leave in there. I put it there because a tuning range that an engineer wanted it at was bringing some basketball dribble. So I put that in there so that I could have the tuning that he wanted and not the basketball dribble, just widen the range a little bit. That's something I have experienced on most floor toms from time to time. It just kind of happens depending on tuning. Here is the rack tom shell. Again, no issues. I mean, like, very smooth bearing edges. I've never had any problems with the tuning. Yeah, they're in great condition, aside from just a little bit of wrap bubbling. Don't know how I missed this, because I just noticed it recently. But yeah, a little bit of fold in there. Not super great. I'm sure you could pull that out. I'm just not even gonna mess with it. So that's what you're getting. I was really impressed with the quality of the hardware. The floor tom leg brackets felt really solid to me. I've had no major issues with these drums. I just need to pay some rent and sell some stuff. There's a perfect example of some of the bubbling right there. So, which I'm sure there's some nerd out there that's got a solution for that would make these drums good as new.